So let me open the project which we have created. So to open the project, I told you, right? So two things. If you have project already created, so you can directly go to that particular folder and you can click on the solution, Microsoft Visual Studio solution. You can see this icon. Okay, so double click on that. That will take you to the solution which you already have. So this package, like in before session we created this package. So since this is a data flow task, let me recollect all these things. So this is a data flow task which through which we can flow the data. Okay, data flow task, data from source to destination. Without this we can't do any kind of data flow from source to destination. Okay, so this is what the frequent task which we use in SSIS. Okay, so we can rename this as per our requirement. Okay, so by default it will give you the task name like data flow task, so we can rename this, okay, as per your requirement. So in this, like what we are doing, we have selected one source which is nothing but the employee table and loading the data into some other table which is named as employee 19th June. Okay, so this is how data load is happening from here to here. Here you need to keep in mind, so let us say earlier we have created the connections before taking the data flow task. Okay, before taking all these components in your workspace in the sense this is what your workspace wherever you are working. Okay, so before taking all these component to workspace, initially you have created connection managers. Okay, so you can do this on fly in the sense, let us say I am creating one more package. Okay, so these packages I have created earlier, right? So let me delete this one also. I am deleting. Okay, altogether I am creating one more package. To create one more package, you can do, you need to go here, SSIS packages. In the right side pane you can see the Solution Explorer tab. In that you are having SSIS packages folder, right? So right click on this SSIS packages folder. You can see new SSIS package. Click on that. You will get one more package. Okay, so by default it will give you the name like package 1. So you can just rename it. I'm giving some name to this package. Okay, so our intention is, in this package what we did, we have loaded data from one table to another table. Okay, so before selecting these components, what we did, we have created connection managers. Okay, we have created connections in the connection managers tab. We can do that in other way. What is that means? So this is what the package, right? So now what I will do is, I will check data flow task directly from toolbox, select and drag to your workspace. Okay, double click on that. That means double clicking in the sense opening. That means we are going to edit that particular task. Okay, so go to, you can see the multiple options over here in SSIS toolbox. Okay, so once you entered into the data flow task tab, okay, data flow tab, this is what the data flow tab, this is what the control flow tab. Once you double click on this data flow task, okay, don't confuse with the data flow task on data flow tab. Okay, the component which you have in the control flow window is nothing but the data flow task. If you double click on the task, it will take you to the data flow tab. Okay, data flow window. So inside of this data flow you will have sources and destinations and transformations. Okay, So you can see, you can go here other sources and pick the component OLEDB source. After that pick the destination OLEDB destination. Okay, if you see here, I don't have any connections in this package. So earlier we created connection managers first and then pick the components. Now we pick the components first. Okay, so now I am going to configure this source component. Double click on the source component. Okay, you can go to the drop down. Once there you can see no connections. Since we don't have any connections in the connection managers tab, it is empty. So you can create from here itself new. That means creating the connections ad hocly. Okay, or else on fly creation of the connection managers. So this is what the connection manager that we are already having. I'm just selecting this one. Click on OK. Okay, so it will automatically pick that connection manager. See, whenever you pick that particular connection manager on fly, it will automatically take you to the connection managers tab. Okay, take that particular connection into the connection managers tab, and then from here itself, like, you can pick the table, whatever the table you want. Let's say I'm taking this table again, employee table, columns. We are having all these columns. I am going to pick all the columns. That's why I didn't touch this part. Okay, since I'm having only 3 columns, I want to pull all the 3 columns. Okay, if you want to, let us say if the source is having number of columns, okay, 20, 30, 40 columns, out of that you want to pick only 5 or 10 columns, then you need to touch this part. Okay, by default all the columns will be selected, but if you want to pick only a particular list, then you need to unselect and then pick whatever the columns you want, 1, 2, 3, like that. Okay, so just click on OK, and then from here to here you need to give the OLEDB destination connection. Now this component also you need to configure. Okay, since my source table and destination table both are in same connection, I'm going to use the single connection, whatever the available connection over here, I'm going to use the same connection. Okay, so after that I want to load the data into one more new table. See, by default it is showing the OLEDB destination. The table name is nothing but OLEDB destination. Why the name is like that means the component name itself OLEDB destination. That's why it is suggesting the name like that. Okay, OLEDB destination. If I change the component name to some employee underscore, what is today's date, 23rd, right? 23rd June. Okay, now my component name is employee 23rd June, right? So let us see the table name, it is showing like employee 23rd June. Okay, likewise the table name that suggested by the system itself will change. Click on OK and then go to mappings. Okay, once you pick the table, you should go to the mappings. Okay, this is what the mandatory step you need to do. Okay, so if you observe here, these are already mapped. Okay, why this already mapped? In the sense, column names are matching from source to destination, that's why they are automatically got mapped. Okay, but in real time you need to open and you need to check those column mappings manually. Click on OK. Now you can save this, Control S to save the components, or else whatever the changes you have done, if you want to change those changes, save those changes, you need to press Control S, or else straight away you can go here, save selected items. Okay, so save this and then execute this. Data has been loaded. 3 rows has been loaded. Now I am stopping this package. Let me stop. Go to the database, that means go to the backend, click on SSMS icon, and then connect your database engine. Take a new query window, then select your proper database. My database is training database, and then employee 23rd June. You will get the data. Now we have 3 records. Let me stop this. If you don't install a SQL server in your machine properly, then at runtime or else if you are seeing some errors, it is showing, right? So such a kind of errors it will show. Not only with the installation problem, if you have any kind of issues with the what we call software itself, like it will throw some errors. Okay, so if I execute this again, what will happen? Data will load again, right? Select the data, 6 rows. Okay, I'm stopping this package, and if I execute this again data will load. Okay, so but my source is having 3 records. Okay, but destination is having 9 records due to multiple times execution. But I need to avoid this. Whatever the source data I'm having, that particular data, only that many number of records I should have in my destination. In that case, what I need to do? Before loading the data, I need to truncate the table, right? Copy, truncate table, truncate the destination table. I have truncated the destination table. Now the table is empty. Okay, if I execute this again, data will come. Okay, so if I want to execute this multiple times, then what I need to do? Okay, I need to connect to the SSMS, come back to SSMS, and then write the truncate statement, and then again I need to switch the window, and then from here I need to execute this. Instead of this, if we place this particular truncate table statement in SSIS itself, it will be good for us, right? So to hold all SQL statements, okay, if you want to write any kind of SQL statement, or else if you want to execute any kind of SQL statement, okay, it might be insert statement, it might be update statement, it might be select statement, truncate statement, anything. Okay, you can use one component called as execute SQL task. Okay, so what I will do is I will take this, select that particular task into my workflow, and place over here, double click on that. Here you need to give 3 things. First, you need to name the task properly as per your requirement, and then come here you need to give the connection in the sense the same thing. You are going to write a truncate statement. My intention is I want to place this truncate statement in SSIS. I want to execute this truncate statement from SSIS itself instead of coming to this backend SSMS point and then executing from here itself. I want to execute the task. I want to execute this a particular statement from SSIS itself. Okay, so take this statement, copy, and place here. SQL statement, you are able to see this option SQL statement, right? Here you need to place your SQL statement. But if you want to execute this SQL statement, this component, this task, this execute SQL task, whatever the task I'm editing, right? This task should point to some database where this particular table has been existed. Okay, so that connection details you need to give here. Okay, so this is what the connection. If you don't have that connection, that particular connection, here from here itself you can create the connection. Since I have this connection, I am selecting from here itself. Click on OK. Okay. Now these two components, is there any relation between these two components? If you look at here, this is here and this is here. Okay, there is no relation from here to here. Okay, so let us say if I execute this, both will execute parallelly.
Excuse me, Shiva.
Yeah. Yes.
Shiva, excuse me. Your voice is breaking up a lot, and I'm not able to get it like this. Especially this execute SQL task.
Okay.
It's breaking up too much.
Okay, so is it fine now? Is it fine now, Saujanya?
Uh,
Am I audible to you now?
Hello.
Uh,
Yeah.
am I audible to you now, Saujanya?
Yeah. Now it's good.
Okay, so let me stop this. See, whenever you want to execute any particular data flow task, okay, so let's have a scenario. Okay, in this data flow task, I am getting data from one source to one destination, right? If I execute this data flow task multiple times, what will happen? The data will append to the already existing data in the destination. Let us say now my destination table is having 3 records. Okay, if I execute this data flow task, what will happen? Execute task. Again, 3 more records will append to the already existing. Okay, so which is not at all right. Why? Because my source table is having only 3 records, but my destination table is having, it is showing 6 records, which is a wrong thing. So to avoid this thing, what you should do is you should truncate the table before loading, right? So what you need to do to truncate the table, you will come to SSMS and then from here itself you will write the truncate statement and execute it, which is a wrong thing. I mean, it's not a wrong, it's a burden, it's a hectic process. Every time you need to come to this environment and truncate the table and then go here and then execute this. So instead of this, if you have this particular SQL statement, okay, this particular truncate table statement in SSIS itself, it will be good for us to execute the package. Okay, but you are not supposed to write the SQL statement here itself. Instead of that, like SSIS is providing one task to place all your SQL statement. It might be update statement, it might be insert statement, it might be select, or else it might be truncate, delete, whatever the statement it might be. You can place any kind of SQL statement in the execute SQL task. Okay, what you need to do is in the control flow, this execute SQL task will available. You will take this SQL, you can take this execute SQL task, double click on this. Once you double click, the execute SQL task editor will open. So instead of this, you need to configure two things. Whatever the SQL statement you want to execute, okay, that you need to put here, and to which database you want to point this particular truncate statement. Okay, so that thing you need to mention over here. Okay, so these are the two things that you have to configure here. Click on OK. Once you configure that SQL statement, what is your intention? Before executing this before executing this data flow task, this truncate should happen, right? So for that purpose, what is the first step? Truncate the table. Okay, and what is the next step? Load the data into destination. Okay, first this should happen, then it should come to second step, right? So there is a dependency. So to specify that particular dependency in SSIS, what we will do is you need to select the first component, and you can see that arrow mark, right? Take that arrow mark to the second component, place that. Okay, now you can see the dependency. First it will execute this and then it will come to here. Okay, but here you should remember three things. If this particular task may fail in the sense sometimes it may fail whether the table is not existed, whatever the table you have selected, you are going to truncate, right? So this table may not available in the database, or else the table name is not existed, there might be some spelling mistakes. Okay, so in that case, if you are trying to truncate this table, what it will do is it will show some error. Okay, that means this task will fail. Okay, if this task will fail, then what this data flow task, it should not run. Okay, so whenever you want to load the data, this task should complete successfully. Okay, so like how we will specify those kind of constraints from here to here means, this is what the arrow you are able to see, right? So double click on that arrow. Once you double click on that arrow, that arrow is nothing but the precedence constraint. This will play a key role in SSIS development. Precedent constraint, how you are going to define the constraint values. Double click on the arrow there, it will open the editor. Okay, here you can see value as success, failure, completion. Okay, success means if this particular task, okay, if you select success, let us say if you take the success, that means what you are trying to say is if this task completed successfully, then you should come over here. Okay, second thing is failure. That means what you are saying is if this task fails, then you should come over here. Okay, if you take the completion, okay, that means it is saying like whatever the thing will happen for this first task, that means it might be completed successfully or else it might be completed with failure. End of the day, the task execution has been completed. Once this is completed, you should come over here. Okay, so we have three constraints: success, failure, completion. Okay, so in this scenario, what is our intention? Whenever this truncation happens successfully, okay, truncate table name, right? So whenever this particular task executed successfully, then this flow should come over here, right? So for that purpose, what we will select is we will take success. Okay, if you observe here, based on the value I am taking here, the color of the arrow is changing. Let us say if I take failure, it is showing in red color. Let us say if I take completion, it will be in some dark blue color. Okay, or else if I take success, value as success, it will be in green color. Okay, so that means this, for this particular task, if it is executed successfully, then the flow of the what we can say, the workflow will flow from here to here, then only this will execute properly. Okay, let me execute this. Okay, if you observe here, I am stopping this again. First the flow will start from here. Once after this execution, then it is coming over here. Okay, since we are having somewhat less records, okay, so it is not taking that much of time. In real time you will have a millions of records. So in that case, if you truncating that particular table which is having a millions of records, then obviously it will take some some amount of time to truncate the table. Okay, then you can see the difference clearly, the flow of execution. First it will execute this, that means it is successfully executed over here. So based on the constraint, what the constraint we specified, first you execute this one successfully, then once after successful execution, please come over to the data flow task. You are saying like that. That's why once after the successful execution, it is coming over here and it is executing the data flow task. Let me stop this and change the constraint. What I will do is I will say like failure. The meaning is, if this task may fail, okay, at the time of execution, if the task will fail, in that case you should come over here, then only you should come over here. Okay, let me execute this. See, the flow is not it's not coming from here to here. Why? Because I have specified a failure condition. That means whenever this fails, then only you come here. But what happened here? This is not failed now. This is executed successfully. That's why it is not coming over here. Generally, when we'll have this failure condition means whenever you want to have some kind of email notification. That means whenever a particular task has been failed, then in that case you want to uh, tell this particular thing to enter your team. So in that case, what you can do is you can send an email notification. If this task fails, then send the email notification to your team or your client. So in that case, this failure condition will useful for you. But in real time, like maximum you will use either success or completion, okay, based on the dependency between the task. In this scenario, what is our requirement, or what is the value you need to take is success. Okay, that means first you need to truncate the table. Once this truncation happens successfully, then the flow should come over here. Okay, so that's why we are taking success constraint here. Let me execute. Likewise, okay, you can execute this package now multiple times whenever. Okay, like you can execute that package in number of times, but how many records remaining will be 3 records. Why? Because before loading the data into destination table, we are truncating the destination table. That's why it is having only 3 records as per the source. Stop this and then execute it. Okay, so why we need to execute? What is the requirement of executing the package in multiple times in real time? Means in a package, like we will have 20 30 uh, data flow task, or else number of tasks, whatever the task it may be. You may have a number of tasks in real time in a single package. Okay, in any of those tasks may fails. Okay, let us say we have 1 to 20 tasks. Out of that, 5 tasks happen successfully, okay, executed successfully. Sixth task failed, unfortunately. We don't know what is the reason behind that. Okay, we have opened that particular, we stopped the package execution and we have opened that particular task, why it has been failed. Okay, we have checked it and then we fix that error, and now again you start the package from the beginning itself. You start the package execution, then what will happen is the flow will start from first task to last task. So in that case, the data flow task, whatever the first 5 tasks we are having, okay, assume like in the first 5 tasks we have 5 data flow tasks. The first 5 data flow tasks will execute for the second time, right? Initially they have executed and they have loaded the data into destination, but one.
Excuse me, Shiva. Can you explain this part again? Like it's breaking up, so I couldn't get it properly.
Okay.
This one, like if example, like as if so many tasks are there, like something is
Yes.
it got failed, then
Yes, yes, yes. So let us say we have package like this. Okay. So in this package, we are having task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, likewise task 20. We have 20 tasks in a package, and for each and every task we have built some relation. It might be success, or else it might be failure, or else it might be completion, whatever the relation it might be. Okay, so in between, at the time of execution, assume like fourth task has been failed. Okay, but what about the first three tasks? They have executed successfully, and they have loaded the data into their destination tables successfully. In between, fourth task has been failed. So in that case, what we will do is, we will stop the package execution first. Okay, we will stop the package execution and then fix the data. I mean, fix the issue. Okay, and then we will restart the package. Package execution. So whenever we restart the package execution, the package execution will start from task 1 again, right? So in that case, this data flow task will load the data into its destination table for the second time. This one also will execute and then load the data into for the third time, I mean second time. So in that case, the destination table, whatever the destination table is having, right, since it will have a I mean like duplicate data, since it was executed two times, and before executing the data flow task we didn't specify any truncate, so that's why it will have some duplicate data. So to avoid all those things, we should specify truncate table statement before the data flow task. Okay, so before the data flow task, we need to specify the truncate statement. To have the truncate statement, what the component we use in SSIS is execute SQL task. Okay, so once you take the execute SQL task, you will place the truncate table statement, and then you will create a dependency from first task to second task. What is the dependency? Once after the successful execution, you should come over here and execute this data flow task. You are telling to the system, what you are telling, hey, first execute this data flow, first execute this task. Instead of that is what we are having, truncate table statement. That means it will truncate the data from that particular table and then come to the data flow task. Instead of the data flow task, what you are doing, getting the data from source to destination. Okay, that means like a number of times you can execute. Okay, you can execute this particular task, you can execute this particular package a number of times, but what kind of data will have is whatever the source is having, only that particular data will have in the destination. Okay, so that is the purpose of specifying the precedence constraints, or else that is the purpose of executing SQL task, execute SQL task component. Okay, so just have a look uh, on this execute SQL task. We will meet again after some time. Okay.
okay. And one thing,